Hei sann, velkommen til min blogg. I dag skal vi se litt på Augustine Alcala. Augustine Alcala var en av hovedprofetene innenfor International House of Prayer, og der hvor Mike Bickle var grunnlegger. Han var en av hovedprofetene som kom med en profeti som førte til at Mike Bickle kom til Kansas City, og han har blitt referert til når Mike Bickle har snakket om den profetiske historien flere ganger. Augustine Alcala, han var sammen med Bob Jones og Paul Kane, en av de 3 hovedprofetene som har stadig blitt nevnt av Mike Bickle. Altså Paul Kane ble jo avslørt som en homofil, alkoholiker. Bob Jones var en som misbrukte kvinner, han fikk de til å kle seg naken. Bruk av profetier, han sa de måtte kle av seg foran Gud for å få en profeti fra han, for han var jo den store profeten. Mike Bickle selv har jo misbrukt kvinner i flere 10 år. Det er jo avslørt nå på IHOP. Men han her Alcala, Augustine Alcala, han har også misbrukt folk seksuelt ved hjelp av falske profetier. Han sa til en mann, det har kommet frem gjennom en bok som Ernest Gruen skrev. Ernest Gruen, han avslørte IHOP veldig tidlig. Har lagt link til Ernest Gruen sin lille bok om IHOP under en av mine videoer her, angående IHOP. Men han fikk menn til å kle seg naken. Det var ett tilfelle som blir referert til. Han sa til en mann, de var ute og kjørte, så begynte han å berøre føttene eller knærne hans, og så sa han, og så ville han ha han inn på et hotellrom, og han ville ligge naken opp på han. Han ville at han skulle være naken, sånn som Elia. Og så brukte han profeti liksom, for å prøve å få det her mennesket med på det. Men jeg forstod det sånn at han rømte fra hele situasjonen. Han som ble utsatt for det her. Heldigvis for han. Men det er på denne måten Augustine Alcala fikk unge menn, altså misbrukte unge menn, for han var jo en homoseksuell. Så det er ikke nok med at Bob Jones misbrukte folk ved hjelp av falske profetier. Det er ikke nok med at Mike Bickle har gjort det, men også Augustine Alcala. Og han var også en homofil, sånn som Paul Kane. Så historien til IHOPKC, den er veldig elendig, for å si det mildt. Jeg ville bare belyse denne Alcala-typen.
So I ignored it. I just, nothing I could do until a personal friend of mine who is a pastor told how this prophet, when he was a new Christian, they were driving down the highway, reached over and started playing with his knees. He thought it was a little strange and he pulled away. When he got to the hotel room, this prophet said, I want to do what Elisha did. I want you to take off all your clothes and lay naked, and I'm going to lay naked on top of you and breathe with my mouth the breath of life into your body. At which point, my friend, who is a pastor, ran from the motel room. He was a relatively new Christian. He was totally alarmed. They've never repudiated that man's prophecies. He prophesied over pastors all over the city.
Ja, der hørte du det selv, da. Selvfølgelig så har jo Augustine Alcala vært i Norge. Norge er jo involvert i alle de her elendige profetene sin tjeneste. Her skal du få se Alcala, der er han. Først er det med svensk oversetter, og så kommer det med en norsk oversetter. Og den norske oversetteren, han er en mann som jeg så på levende ord. Han var på levende ord. Så de kom fra den menigheten som han her, Augustine Alcala, hadde vært og profetert i, til levende ord i Bergen, der Envald Flåten var pastor. Og den menigheten var jo jeg en del av i en 10-årsperiode. Nå skal du få høre han litt her.
Kraftig, He says they laugh at it.
Men de skrattar åt det.
Well, I used to take the truth.
Jag brukade ta sanningen.
And people used to cry.
Och människor brukade gråta.
And people used to get mad.
De blev arga.
And I came to the conclusion
Men då drog jag rätt
the
släts då.
things that we have shut in.
Allt det här som jag har stängt inne.
The things that we will not let go.
Allt det som vi...
Legg merke til det åndelige språket han har. Han har jo det rette åndelige språket som passer inn i trosbevegelses sammenheng.
Vi vill släppa taget om.
The things we will not surrender.
Allt det som vi inte vill överlämna.
No matter who or what.
Det spelar ingen roll vad eller vem.
The things that we've held on to in opinion.
Det som vi klamrat oss fast vid.
The things that hold on to us.
Och det som håller fast vid
The
oss.
things that have become a wall to us.
Det som har blivit en mur för
And we
oss.
didn't even ask for it.
Vi har inte ens bett om det.
We didn't even request it.
Vi har inte begärt det.
We were innocent victim. My name is a standard there.
Oskyldiga offer bara.
And somebody gave us a wall.
Någon reste en mur.
Somebody gave us warfare we didn't even ask for.
Någon kastade oss in i en
Somebody shut us right off.
Någon som har stängt oss ute eller inne.
We're taking the horse out and she puts herself in the corral.
Who put herself in?
Me.
Sister Francis.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Whoa.
You know what's already to happen with the gate? It can't be clear at once.
No, but I think we...
Too wild.
You don't want to get too close.
This was a path right here that was down and this, that, and he had it all built, all this built and redone. It was like a storage room and messed up, and it had another door with another door, and he had it all done right. Built, he had all this built. Clean it. See, clean it. Yeah. Yeah. But none of this was here before. None of this is here. And I...
Der kommer han oversetteren som var på levende ord. Steinar het han visst. Han hadde sånn dyp radiostemme.
For det hans ånd. But some people live there.
Men noen mennesker de fortsetter å bo
Some
der.
people are locked in their emotions there.
Og noen har låst sine følelser
Some
inne i andre
people
områder.
live that way.
Og noen lever på
Some
den måten.
people die that way.
Og en del mennesker dør. Du skal bli trent.
And I see the Lord using you to pray for the sick.
Jeg ser her i morgen.
You opening prison doors.
Du skal åpne fengselsdører.
And the power of evangelism shall be on you.
Og evangelistens kraft.
The power of evangelism shall be on you.
Kraften til evangelisten skal komme
Don't
over deg.
preach your doctrines or opinions.
Du skal ikke holde deg til
Augustine, say something for the San Antonians.
This is Gruen, Rivers of Life Christian Center, having a conference with Pastor Steiner.
Han sa det er Drammen. Rivers of Life, eller noe sånt. Og det er Steinar, sier han.
Dr. Steiner
Der er han.
Francis, our workers and helpers and
Han var på levende ord.
brother interpret, which I understand exploded.
Ian, right? What is your name?
Exploded God.
My name's Ian.
Ian.
And if Eric's watching this, hello Eric.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. How wonderful.
Thank you.
There you go. Eric's going to hear it. So, go on.
Jeg bare kjenner igjen damene. De går med sånne spesielle kjoler. Fordi, altså, Ulf Ekman og Enevald Flåten, de likte at damene gikk i kjoler. Så det er sånn typisk sånn på 90-tallet. Så gikk man, 80- og 90-tallet, så gikk man sånn kledd på i trosbevegelsen.
Dr. Sanchez has been with us, using of God, and Dr. Sanchez has been exploding, flowing, and adding new dimensions and breakthroughs to nations in Sweden, Norway, and now Poland. And we give him all the praise. And we thank him, and we thank him, and we thank him. Thank you, San Antonio Church, for sharing. Thank you. You are here.
Vi takknemlige for at akkurat det
We are here because you are here.
Vi her fordi at det her.
And you and the team is here
Og du og teamet som er her.
because Christ is here.
Vi her.
You are too much.
Bad Better than bitter. Adios. Pray for us. Oh, you know what they did give me? Steiner?
Jepp, så da fikk du se han her, en av hovedprofetene som Mike Bickle stadig har referert til. Og nå skal du få høre Mike Bickle selv snakke om Augustine Alcala. Så får du forståelse for den betydningen Alcala sin profetiske tjeneste har hatt for Mike Bickle.
She says, young man, you're going to have a supernatural encounter very soon. And this was the encounter he has Thursday, and it's about the blueprint prophecy. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're back on Sunday. Because you're going to have an encounter with the Lord very soon. And he says, you've never seen angels and demons in the same encounter. You've seen angels before. She goes, the Lord says he's really using you prophetically. It's real. And you've seen demons with your eyes. But you've never seen them together in the same vision. And he's looking and listening, going, I never thought about that. And he goes, and there's going to be a conflict between the angel and the demons. And there's going to be a manifestation in the flesh that's going to bear witness to the conflict and the promise that he's going to speak to you in that encounter. And so the meeting's over, and we're driving home, and Augustine, we're driving from Tulsa to Kansas City, and that's Sunday afternoon, and I said, what do you think? He goes, that was the strangest thing I've ever encountered, I think. He goes, now that she mentioned it, I have seen angels a couple times in my prophetic ministry. I really have. And I have seen demons a couple times. But I've never seen them together. She's right. I go, what does she mean? A manifestation in the flesh of the conflict. He goes, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. He goes, I have no idea what that means. And the message was for me, actually. I don't even know this is about me getting a message. And it's about the blueprint prophecy. The fact that the lady was called out from two different guys that I bore witness to, and then she gives Augustine this word. And so I heard it all. I don't know it even pertains to me. So we get back to Kansas City that night, and he stays in town for a week. He lived in Phoenix for many years, and he would visit for 10 days at a time. Very, very strong prophetic ministry. Again, in 83 and 84 is when he was with us. And so that Wednesday night, after our Wednesday night prayer meeting, I said, Augustine, I'm going to share something. I just haven't no zeal to make this known to other people. I go, I received a prophecy 6 months ago in March that Bob Jones said on Friday. I'd receive it on Monday. Bob Jones said it'd be called the Blueprint. An unknown guy unknown to us, drove in town, and he said, it's Blueprint. I go, I don't know if it's right or wrong. And Bob Jones swears it's right. Oh, not swears, but he's adamant it's right. I'd like you to read it and tell me what you think. So he reads it that Wednesday night. This is 3 days after what happened in Tulsa. And the Tulsa story is going to come right into the middle of the story in a minute. And he goes, yeah, this seems right. He goes, you never know. But he goes, I've had some pretty strong encounters with the Lord. And I don't know when I'll have another one. He has one that night, by the way. I'm getting ahead of myself. He goes, I don't know if I'll have another one for a while, but sometimes it's rare the Lord will let you ask a question. But mostly you don't get to ask a question. He goes, I've had a few of them. But if I get to ask a question, I'm going to ask him this. I go, hey, I appreciate that. I go, you prophetic guys, if you talk to some angel, ask them. I mean, I was doing that a little tongue-in-cheek because it's very rare that would ever happen. He said, I'll do that. I said, great. So our prayer meeting, we do the nightly prayer rings from 7 to 10. So it's now 10 o'clock at night. And he's staying at a friend's house. So we drive to the friend's house over in Lee Summit from Overland Park. So it's a good little drive there. And we get there about 10:30, and we fellowship to about midnight. And we're talking about this blueprint prophecy and his friend. And he'd mostly stayed there when he came in town to Kansas City for 10 days at a time, typically. And so now it's midnight. And I said, okay, I got to go. Got to go home. And so the friend says, man, I got to go to bed. He goes, I got a big thing tomorrow. I just got to go to bed. You guys, you're good. So I go out in my car. My car doesn't start. You know, it was a good car. Someone says, yeah, that figures. No, it was a good car. It won't start. And so I go in and tell my friend the car doesn't start. The next day it started perfect. And so he goes, well, he goes, you know, he's already in his bedroom opening the door kind of thing, saying, okay, guess what? I got one guest bedroom where Augustine stays, but it's a big one. He goes, and there's 2 beds on each side of a big bedroom. He goes, if you don't mind it, he goes, do either of you snore? Will you bother each other? And I said, I'll go there. I'm happy. He goes, well, that's the only choice, or the couch. Either way, you pick. He goes, I'm going to bed. So we both go into this bedroom, and we just fall asleep right away at midnight. And so it's 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. This is when the encounter happens. And I'm in this room with Augustine. So I don't know Augustine's having an encounter. 5 a.m.-ish. And all of a sudden, I wake up with the most terrifying pain in my leg. I mean, just sound asleep. Ah! Oh! Ah! You know, what's happening? I can't walk. I'm going, oh my goodness. I'm trying to move it, and I have no idea what happened. Augustine's across the room, and there's about a foot or 2 between the wall and his bed. He's down in that gap, and he's crying out. And he's saying, Michael, Michael, save me, help me, Michael. And I think he's talking to me. He's not. I don't know that he's not, but my leg is hurting so bad. I go, what? He goes, Michael, he's crying. Michael, Michael, help me. And then he says everything that happens in his visionary encounter. He says it all out loud. I hear the whole thing. He says his part and their part. And I'm listening, but I don't know how it starts. And this encounter goes on for a few minutes, and then he falls just as asleep right there on the floor between the wall the rest of the night, you know, till late in the morning. He just quits talking and he's down asleep. My leg is hurting so terrible. I'm there for 20, 30 minutes. I am sweating. It hurts so bad. Literally on my head, you know, sweat is breaking out. I mean, incredible. So I hop up the stairs. I go up the stairs backwards. I can't do it. I put ice on it. So it's 6 in the morning or 7. The friend wakes up and goes, what are you doing? I go, I don't know. Man, my leg got really wrecked last night. He goes, what did you do? I go, nothing. I got ice all over it. He goes, I can't move it. I can't walk. I can't anything. He goes, wow, you want to go to the hospital? I go, I don't know. I don't want to do that just yet. So then, about 8 o'clock, Augustine comes walking up the stairs. He's going, I remember vividly, he's going, oh my God. Oh my God. I go, what? He goes, I had the most terrifying, remarkable encounter I've ever had in my life last night. I said, well, what happened? He goes, I was there. He goes, it wasn't a dream. It was much more than a dream. He goes, there's this white little pony on the road, marching down the road. Just like a little pony, little, like 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot wings, little wings about 2 feet high. It's a cute little pony. He goes, he's just enjoying himself marching down the road. And I go, oh, that's cool, you know, experience. He goes, and this horse, he goes, oh, I don't know. He might have been 25 feet tall. I mean, you don't know, 9 feet his chest. Those are made-up numbers. He goes, unbelievably big. Wings like you can't imagine. And smoke coming out of his nostrils. So angry, so terrifying. He came up to this little white pony, and this black horse took his paw and shattered the right kneecap of the little pony. And the little pony rolled into the ditch going, arr, 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 arr. He goes, and then I cried out, Michael, Michael. And I'm going, now I don't tell him I know what's going on. And he tells me exactly what I heard. He goes, I cried, Michael, Michael. He goes, and this big demonic principality was coming after him, Augustine. He goes, he shattered the knee of this little pony. He goes, I don't even know what was going on. And I was terrified. He goes, I go, Michael, Michael. He goes, and Michael the archangel, he's never seen a mighty angel. One time he comes and he stands in the way of this big, black, massive horse with smoke coming out of his nostrils, 8-foot chest, 25 feet tall, this demonic principality, and he stops him. And then Augustine says that he's kind of hiding by a tree. I don't know how a tree got in the encounter, but he goes, I'm hiding by this tree. And that Michael looks at him and he says, when they go to the east, the rage of Satan will strike them with great force. The rage of Satan will strike them when they go to the east. And then Augustine, I even heard him say that, when they go to the east, the rage of Satan. I didn't even know what he meant. At 5 in the morning, I'm laying in bed going, what's going on here? But now it's 8 in the morning, he's telling me this. And I'm understanding I'm involved in this. But he doesn't know it yet. I go, keep telling the story. He goes, Michael said when they go to the east, the rage of Satan will strike them. He goes, and then he showed me the man that's going to strike you with the rage of Satan. He gave me the man's name. And he said, then he looked at Michael and said, I even heard Augustine say this back at 5 in the morning, I'm 8 o'clock around the table, and he's telling it again. He said, the blueprint prophecy, is it of God or not? He said, and the mighty angel said, it has much truth and great light. The phrase that gave him right here. And where do I have that written at? I got to have it written there somewhere. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And so, much truth and great light, meaning it's not the entire truth, and maybe not all of it's true, but it has much truth and great light. And then Satan took on this principality and destroyed it. And then Augustine's under the tree, trembling, shaking, crying, and the big black horse is destroyed. And then time passes, and the little pony comes out of the ditch. And he's bigger than the horse was. And he's got massive 9-foot wings going each direction, powerful and strong. And he comes...
Det her mener jeg den preken som Mike Bickle kom med etter at han begynte å bli avslørt. Etter at anklagene begynte å komme frem i IHOPKC, så kom han med denne preken da. Og her da Augustine Alcala involvert.
Comes out of the ditch, flying right into the heavenly realm with the power of God on him. And Augustine says, that's what happened. And he said, I've never seen anything like it. And he goes, what happened to your leg? I go, you're not going to believe this. I didn't hear the pony and the black horse striking his leg. All I know is I woke up and you were saying, Michael, Michael. He goes, the conflict was manifest in your body. I go, how does that work? Again, this story is, I shouldn't even be telling this story, but I go, how does that? He goes, I don't know. He goes, the lady in Tulsa told us this was going to happen. The lady in Tulsa told us it would happen. I said, well, tell me more. He goes, I asked him about the much truth in the great light, the much truth and great light. He goes, the angel said this. Of course, I had heard it at 5 a.m. I didn't know the context. I didn't know what was going on. And I didn't know that Augustine was in a visionary encounter. He was not having, I didn't know what he was doing. He was on the floor crying, And behind the bed, I couldn't even see him. And I didn't want to wake him up. My leg was killing me. And so he said, I will tell you what's going to happen. There's going to be a man. He goes, I know who he is. And he will strike you when you go to the east, and he'll strike you with the rage of Satan. And he goes, and it will be powerful, but it won't last long because God's going to answer it. And in the Lord's timing, all these things Bob Jones told you, because Bob Jones first saw the movement back in 1982, the 9 months before I met him in March 83. He saw it as a little white horse in a stream, if you remember, and Bob was behind it, giving it time to grow up and getting solid in these values that the Lord highlighted in Cairo. So it's that little pony again. And he says he's going to come forth in mighty power. So then, let me see, where am I at on my notes here? Okay. See paragraph H at the bottom. Oh yeah, the pain was there. horrible for about 18 hours. I couldn't even move. I couldn't drive my car. I mean, the car worked, but I couldn't touch the gas pedal. I just couldn't move it at all. But for 30 days, that's not an exact number, but for some weeks, 3, 4, 5 weeks, it hurt every few hours, unbelievable pain. Because I remember I met some people like a couple days later, and I'm limping like this, and they go, well, what happened? I go, well, a black horse kicked me. They go, I didn't think you liked horses. I go, I'm not really a horse guy. They go, like, we can't really picture you with dogs, frogs, fish, horses. We don't really picture you with those kind of things. I go, well, it was a long story. I don't want to tell you, but I got kicked by a black horse. They go, man, you ought to get that looked at, you know. So for 30 days, I'm just walking like this for 30 days. And I don't know if then it goes away after 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. And I have here in paragraph H, mysteriously, the car worked perfect the next morning. And so I'm in this room with this guy, and I could say that in 40 plus years, I have never had a how we call it, night over, spend the night, you know how kids do it. I never had a night over with a friend in a bedroom, ever, in 40 years, one time ever. The weirdness of being in that room for that encounter after the lady in Tulsa that Sunday laid it out. And so then he says, you're going to be attacked. He told me the name of the man. I go, that's not a chance. There's not a chance that's going to happen. I'm never going to say the name of the man. He says, it's going to happen when you go to the east. I go, what does that mean? He goes, I don't know. When you go to the east. So now we're at paragraph I. So we plant a new congregation. We planted 6 congregations. We had the one church, and we had ended up with 6. And we all stayed together as one fellowship. We went to the east and planted a congregation. And just after the dedication time in December, Noel came to me, because he's 6 years later. He goes, well, remember the dream or the vision Augustine had 6 years ago? We haven't seen Augustine for a few years. He goes, we're going to the east. I think the black horse is going to hit us. I go, I don't think starting a little church in the east is called going.
Ja, så han prøver å forklare det som skjer, at han er blitt, at ting har kommet frem i lyset med hans seksuelle profetiske overgrep mot kvinner i flere tiår. Han prøver å forklare det med denne profetien og sånn, og at det er demonisk, og at det er noen som prøver å angripe han liksom demonisk. Så han drar frem denne profetien fra han her, Augustine Alcala. Jeg skal bare spille av den hendelsen som Ernest Gruen forteller om, som han Augustine Alcala hadde med en ung mann i denne bilen en gang til.
I was sure one of the supposed prophets who was running the church was a homosexual. I hoped it wasn't true, but at least effeminate. And so I got on the phone, called St. Louis, called Phoenix, called some pastors I knew. They said, yeah, we all know the man's a queer. I said, what's your evidence? We don't have any. So it was just rumor, slander or gossip. So I ignored it. I just, nothing I could do until a personal friend of mine who is a pastor told how this prophet, when he was a new Christian, they were driving down the highway, reached over and started playing with his knees. He thought it was a little strange, and he pulled away. When he got to the hotel room, this prophet said, I want to do what Elisha did. I want you to take off all your clothes and lay naked, and I'm going to lay naked on top of you and breathe with my mouth the breath of life into your body. At which point, my friend, who is a pastor, ran from the motel room. He was a relatively new Christian. He was totally alarmed. They've never repudiated that man's prophecies. He prophesied over pastors all over this city.
Ja, så det var historien til Augustine Alcala, hans historie med overgrep av unge menn. Så skal vi høre videre på Mike Bickle når han prøver å forsvare seg ved bruk av Augustine Alcala sin profeti.
To the east. Well, lo and behold, a few weeks later, the rage of an attack came against us. And this attack was so fierce and so false and so malicious, it went around the world. Because it wasn't just an attack that hit us. it ended up, now I'm not going to say, I haven't done a fact check on this, so I'm going to say something general, and you check it out yourself if you care. I would say this controversy and this man and a group of others who joined with him, they produced a 200-page document saying, in essence, how evil and false I was. And I was even likened to Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer. And it was so outrageous. But this thing became so intense for about 5 reasons. I'm not going to tell you the 5 reasons. It'd take too long, not because they're private, but it's really because I'm traveling around the world with John Wimber. And so everybody wants to know who John Wimber's taking with him. And so, because he has these, 5,000 to 7,000 pastors, in Frankfurt, in Melbourne, Australia, London, wherever he went, thousands of pastors. And so John is taking me around the world why this man has produced this 200-page document, and some other guys were publishing it. And here's the part I'm not sure of. I'll say you do your own fact check. It was on the front cover of almost every Christian magazine in the Western world.
Ja, så det han snakker om her, det det dokumentet til Ernest Gruen. Ernest Gruen avslørte jo Mike Bickle og det han holdt på med helt gjennom sitt dokument, som ble kjent over hele verden.
The controversy in Kansas City. I would go to London. I would go to far away, South Africa, Australia. It would say on the cover, it would show me, Kansas City controversy. Are they right or wrong? I went, we're just a bunch of little peanuts in Kansas City. Who cares if we're right or wrong? Well, nobody cared if we were right or wrong. They cared if Wimber was being deceived and he was bringing deception. That's what they cared about. They didn't even know about us. But it went worldwide. I mean, I don't know that it was on every magazine cover, but everywhere I went, they would show me their national magazines, and they would say on one of the issues, not every issue, Kansas City controversy. Are they false? Are they true? With a 5-page story about it or whatever, or just a news update. It had a life on it that went around the world for a year or two. And everywhere I went, even with John Wimber, I'd go to these big conferences, and then John would say, Mike, I apologize. He goes, this is all part of being a leader. I would have, there'd be a couple thousand leaders, a Q&A with Mike Bickle. And they would take the document, whatever city I was in all around the world, they would say, do you believe your prophecies are equal to the Word of God? No, I don't. Do you believe that people have to be in your ministry to be saved, and every other ministry, nobody's saved? No, I don't believe that. Just one by one, everywhere I went. And it ended up having a remarkable redemptive dimension to it. And it went on for about 3 years, and then it ended. And so this black horse has shown up a time or two, but my real point is, and I'm not worried about the black horse, but there is an adversary that is assigned to this purpose that will there will be scandal, stigma, and the Lord wants us to know, don't you even yield to it. He goes, I'll take care of the black horse, but I'm going to refine you and a whole bunch of you in the process of letting the black horse have a little room to move.
Ja, så han prøver å blåse bort de her beskyldningene som kommer mot han på IHOPKC nå, fra en mengde med kvinner, og alt det som kommet opp i lys. Han prøver å blåse det opp med den svarte hesten i den profetien der.
Move on. Okay, so let's look at the blueprint prophecy. Now we're on page 2. We're just going to look at a little bit of it. So now it's 6 months later when the black horse kicks me. That's the September 13. And the angel says, and I believe the testimony because my leg was really kicked. And I was really in anguish for 30 days, nearly off and on, not every minute of every day, but incredible pain. And I really heard the lady in Tulsa 4 days earlier say it was going to happen. And Augustine really never had demons and angels in one vision ever. And it was never manifest in the flesh. And it all happened. And when he asked about the prophetic, the blueprint prophecy, the mighty angel said it had much truth and great light in it. And so that to me, I took it at face value. And then one more thing I don't like to give too much detail on. The angel said something about the messenger who gave it. He gave us a description because none of us knew the man who gave it. And he gave us a description of the man who gave it. And I'm not going to the detail, but drove 4 hours into Kansas and met the man like a year or two later. And he came back and he goes, yes, that was really an accurate description. And it wasn't all super, super sweet. And I don't want to go into the details. But he goes, that was the clearest description, what that angel told Augustine in that encounter. So I have confidence, not that this is canonized, infallible, it has all the truth, or everything in it is true. But I think there is much truth in great light. So let's read a little bit of it. And now I edited it because it was 5 pages, and I got it smaller because there's lots of repetition in it, lots of repetition. And I wanted it to fit on the handout, but I mostly just took away repetition. And the guy wasn't really great at grammar and spelling, but who am I to talk? I got a couple full-time editors. But anyway, so some of it I couldn't even understand. But it says here, God will confirm in your spirit. Let's read paragraph, Roman number 3, page 2. He'll confirm, I'll just read part of it. And you are not to proceed until the Lord confirms. On the confirmation, you should immediately take the bride to the city, and that being the city of Kansas City. At this point in time, in 84, I'm not at all connected with the bride of Christ. That was until 88. So I'm still like, the bride of what? What's that mean? I don't even know what that means. And he says, then he talked about there will be a group on the north, south, east, and west. I don't know what that means, but it's there, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. Okay, let's go down a paragraph. He goes, I will raise you up as a plant of renown. He's talking about the ministry. And he's talking about the young people, actually, when you read it further, that are coming in the future. You'll be known and your ways will be renowned. And renown to me is defined by humility and sincere love for Jesus in the face of persecution and pushback. Being steady because of love. That's what renowned is to me. Not quitting because it's hard. And not quitting because there's opposition. So that, and having humility when the Lord does something great. So if it's humble, pure, and love towards Jesus and therefore towards people, that's renowned. It doesn't get any more renowned than that in my book. He goes, I'm going to bring and place around you other helpers in essence. Okay, let's go to page 3 here. He goes, you will be a dresser of my vineyard, meaning this particular vineyard. There's a million vineyards.
Ja, så han forsvarer seg da med den her profetien fra den Augustine Alcala, da, som har en snuskete fortid. Jeg orker ikke å spille mer av det her, men det er i hvert fall et forsvar liksom om at Gud er med han, og det som skjer nå, det er bare den svarte hesten som ja, det er en åndelig kamp, det er demonisk. Så det her kom han ut med når de her kvinnene begynte å stå frem. Så kom han ut med den her prekenen. Det var allerede i 22 at det begynte å lekke ut, ser det ut som. Så jeg ville bare du skulle høre litt om han her Augustine Alcala. Jeg har nevnt han flere ganger. Jeg har nevnt at det var 3 hovedprofeter. Det var Bob Jones, Paul Cain og Augustine Alcala. Men nå har du sett Augustine Alcala. Der er han. Han har også vært i Norge, i Drammen. Og du har en bedre forståelse av hvem han er. Og at han også har en snuskete fortid, han var homoseksuell, og han misbrukte da unge menn. Jeg skal legge link til de her kildene under videoen. Takk for nå.